Welcome back to ABA Chapter Chat. We're so glad you've joined us today for an in-depth exploration of essential concepts. Today we're tackling a really important framework. You hear it a lot in early education. Multi-tiered systems of support, or MTSS. Think of this as your guide, really, to understanding a crucial approach. It's designed to help every child thrive, especially in those formative early years. Our aim is to cut through the noise, and give you clear, actionable insights.
Exactly. Our mission today is to truly unpack MTSS. From its core philosophy right through to its practical application. We'll describe its different tiers, highlight its incredible benefits, and maybe confront some of the common misconceptions that can trip up even experienced professionals. We'll define key terms, give you real-life examples, and make sure you walk away with a really robust understanding.
And to truly bring this to life, we're going to illustrate everything with a compelling case scenario from the material we've gathered, the story of Solomon. He's a 5-year-old whose pre-kindergarten year took an unexpected turn. Escalating behavior, academic struggles. It's a perfect example of the very problems MTSS is designed to solve and, how it can change a child's trajectory. So let's jump right in. Let's start with the big picture then. When we talk about a multi-tiered system of support, what exactly are we referring to?
Okay. At its core, MTSS is an organized, systematic, and incredibly proactive approach. It's built on a tiered model. Basically, it escalates support across both academics and behavior.
Right.
What's critical here is that it consciously moves away from reactive, punitive measures. Instead, it focuses on prevention and early intervention.
That idea of proactive prevention is so compelling. Why is this approach particularly transformative in early childhood education? Historically, that area is often focused more on free play, maybe less on structured intervention.
That's a great question because while play is absolutely vital for development, there's a growing national recognition of the need for structured support in these early years.
Yeah.
Early childhood classrooms are truly the ideal place to begin thinking about the individual needs of learners. Implementing MTSS correctly ensures objective decision-making. And it provides teachers with a clear guide for best practices from day one. This shift means catching potential issues before they become really ingrained, which is, profoundly impactful for a child's entire educational journey.
This sounds like a fundamental shift in mindset. What are the bedrock beliefs that MTSS is built upon?
Okay, so the system rests on several fundamental premises. First, that reactive procedures are generally not in the best interest of children. They might stop a behavior temporarily, maybe, but they don't teach. Second, that punitive measures often fail to correct skill deficits. If a child acts out because they lack a skill, punishment doesn't teach them that skill, right?
Right, that makes sense.
Third, referrals to special education must follow evidence-based interventions implemented with fidelity, meaning we've truly tried effective strategies first. And finally, and this is critical, that without clear, taught behavioral expectations, maladaptive behaviors will likely persist.
Those principles make perfect sense. But given how ingrained some traditional approaches can be, what's the most challenging belief for schools to genuinely adopt? And maybe what's a surprising benefit they often overlook when they finally do?
Oh, that's interesting. I'd say the biggest hurdle is truly internalizing that punitive measures do not correct skill deficits.
It's just a hard habit to break sometimes,
Yeah.
Because a quick punishment can seem to work in the short term.
Right. It feels like it does something.
Exactly. But the surprising benefit, though, is how it completely transforms the classroom culture. When educators shift from, how do I stop this, to what skill does this child need to learn, the entire environment becomes one of teaching and support. It reduces overall stress for everyone. It's a truly powerful mindset change. That really clarifies the foundational principles. Now, MTSS sounds like a robust solution, but are there any common pitfalls or misconceptions that people often encounter when trying to understand or implement it?
Absolutely, yeah. The research highlights these directly. One common belief is that MTSS is inappropriate for early childhood, assuming it's too rigid.
Okay.
But actually, it encourages developmentally appropriate practices and intentional teaching. It's about structuring play and learning intentionally, not killing creativity.
Got it.
Another concern is that it delays special education referrals. That's just not true. Parents can request an evaluation at any time. And IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, explicitly states MTSS cannot be used to delay services.
That's important.
Definitely. There's also the misconception that it promotes exclusive ability grouping. But really, targeted homogeneous grouping is only for limited times. for specific instruction, often alongside heterogeneous groups, just to quickly boost a skill.
Right, not permanent tracking.
Exactly. And finally, many think the top tier is exclusively for special education. It's not. It's about providing intensive support that might lead to a special ed referral, but it isn't synonymous with it.
That's an excellent clarification of those critical points. Okay, now, the material we're reviewing describes two primary terms often found within MTSS, RTL for academics and PBS for behavior. What do these stand for, and what do they have in common that makes them kind of core to MTSS?
Good question. RTI stands for Response to Intervention, and PBS stands for Positive Behavior Supports.
Okay.
Both stem directly from IDEA and are indeed the twin pillars of MTSS. What's fascinating is their shared structure. Both are tiered models. They operate hierarchically, from the least to the most intensive interventions.
So like levels.
Exactly. Moving from universal approaches supporting everyone to small group and then to highly individualized strategies. Crucially, both are rooted in preventive, proactive measures rather than reactive, punitive ones.
Right.
And they share common elements like universal screening to identify needs, using evidence-based practices, consistently monitoring progress, making data-based decisions, and ensuring fidelity, making sure they're done as intended.
Okay, having set the stage for MTSS, let's turn our attention to the academic pillar you mentioned. Response to intervention, RTI. What problem was RTI specifically designed to solve?
Ah, RTI. It was specifically developed as an alternative to what was famously called the wait-to-fail model.
Wait to fail.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right. This older approach often required children to demonstrate significant, prolonged poor performance before they could even be referred for educational testing. And even then, they needed a substantial discrepancy between their IQ and achievement scores to qualify for support.
Wow.
It meant countless children had to fail first. And even then, some would miss arbitrary cutoffs by just a point or two and get no help, despite clearly struggling.
That sounds incredibly frustrating. It really was. Kind of a systemic injustice that didn't account for maybe poor instruction or lack of appropriate evidence-based interventions as the root cause.
So RTI offers a proactive solution to that systemic problem. How does it work across its three tiers to catch and support students academically?
Okay, so Tier 1, universal instruction. This is the foundation. It typically supports, say, 80–90% of students.
The vast majority.
Exactly. Here, all students get high-quality, research-based general education.
Yeah.
It emphasizes best pedagogical practices, appropriate pacing, clear direct instruction, and increasing opportunities to respond, or OTR, basically, keeping students engaged. The core goal is that if a child is unsuccessful, it's not because the instruction was poor.
Makes sense.
In Solomon's situation, for instance, if his pre-K teachers had consistently used OTR, they might have noticed his incorrect responses to academic tasks much earlier, perhaps even before his behavior escalated as like an escape mechanism. Or, by graphing his academic gains and losses, maybe a downward trend could have been spotted, prompting earlier intervention.
So if Solomon's academic struggles with, say, letter recognition continued, even with that high-quality Tier 1 instruction, what would Tier 2 look like for him?
Right. For Solomon, Tier 2, targeted intervention would mean small, focused academic groups, maybe 3 times a week for 20 minutes or so. These groups would use specialized, researched, evidence-based interventions like phonics games or specific pre-reading activities targeting his particular academic needs.
Okay.
A crucial point here is that these sessions shouldn't replace other core academic subjects, and the group should be fluid, based on specific skill deficits, to minimize any, negative social stuff.
Got it. Flexible grouping.
Yes, it's about getting precisely what they need when they need it.
And if those targeted interventions in Tier 2 aren't enough to bring Solomon up to speed, what then?
Then we'd move to Tier 3, intensive individualized support. This is for the maybe 1 to 5% of students who haven't made adequate progress. Kids who are significantly behind, perhaps below the 10th percentile. Solomon would get highly individualized support. That might include pull-out sessions with a specialist.
Okay, more one-on-one.
Potentially, yes. If a child remains unsuccessful, even at this level, it signals the need for a closer look, a deep dive, if you will. We need to rule out or diagnose an organic issue, maybe an intellectual disability, ID, or a specific learning disability, SLD. This could involve referrals to other professionals.
Moving between these tiers sounds like a really critical process. What's important for professionals to consider when making those, objective decisions about a child's next steps?
Objectivity is absolutely paramount. Yeah.
Yeah.
Schools or districts must predetermine clear, objective criteria for movement.
Like specific benchmarks.
Exactly. Could be a student's performance falling below a certain percentage of an aim line, specific negative data trends, or just a consistent lack of growth from their baseline. The research actually provides a helpful checklist of factors to consider. Was the intervention implemented with fidelity? Was attendance an issue? Should the intervention provider change? The group composition, frequency, maybe even the program itself.
Lots to consider.
For sure. And a key insight here is that it's recommended to change only one dimension at a time.
Ah, so you can isolate what works.
Precisely. That way, you can clearly identify what actually helps or what needs further adjustment.
Yeah.
And this whole proactive, multi-tiered approach is just as crucial when we look at the behavioral side of MTSS.
Indeed. Let's delve into positive behavior supports, or PBS, because I know for many early educators, challenging behaviors can be a huge concern. The material we've gathered highlights that early educators often feel unprepared, and these behaviors just consume so much of their day. Why is a strong behavioral component within MTSS so absolutely critical?
Well, without it, valuable class time is simply lost. It just evaporates.
Yeah.
Challenging behaviors impede a child's learning. They cause them to miss instructions, or even worse, get removed from the classroom through suspension or expulsion. And the statistics are, frankly, alarming. Nearly half of all preschool teachers have suspended a child.
Half? Wow.
Yeah, and preschoolers are expelled at a rate 3.2 times higher than K-12 students.
3 times higher.
It really raises an important question for us, doesn't it? If our mission is to foster learning and keep children in school, are we truly serving them with these reactive exclusionary measures?
That statistic about preschool expulsions is genuinely shocking. What are the immediate and long-term consequences of that trend, and how does PBS specifically aim to reverse it?
Well, the immediate consequences are pretty clear. Children miss out on critical learning and social-emotional development.
Right.
Long-term, these early exclusions can lead to a whole host of negative outcomes: academic disengagement, even later involvement with the justice system. PBS fundamentally aims to prevent these problem behaviors by being proactive, not reactive. While punishment might immediately reduce an unwanted behavior, it utterly fails to teach a replacement behavior. PBS, in contrast, seeks to teach, reward, and encourage appropriate behavior. It's really about changing the behavior of teachers and staff, too, strategically arranging the environment, making the school a positive place to work and learn, rather than just relying on an authoritarian system of control. It aims to build skills, not just suppress unwanted actions.
This brings us right back to Solomon. His running to time out now was actually reinforced, wasn't it, by him escaping difficult tasks?
Exactly.
And his suspension just denied him the opportunity to learn new concepts. So how does PBS provide a structured way to address behaviors like Solomon's and fundamentally shift that dynamic?
Okay, so let's break down the PBS tiers. In Tier 1, Universal Behavior Support, which is for, again, 80–90% of students, this tier sets the positive stage for everyone. It involves creating clear behavioral expectations and explicit rules. These need to be positively stated, behavior-specific, short, and visibly posted.
Positively stated. Like instead of don't run.
Right. Instead of do not run in the hallway, a better rule is maybe walk like a stealthy ninja, because, kids love being ninjas. Or just walk quietly.
Yeah, that's more engaging.
Definitely. Then teachers explicitly teach, review, and rehearse these rules and their consequences. Teacher behavior is also key. Using frequent, meaningful, specific praise, aiming for like a 3.1 ratio of positive statements to reprimands. It's about catching them doing good constantly.
That's a great example of a positively stated rule. And you mentioned a checklist for Tier 1 behavior strategies earlier. What are some other practical examples that can make a difference day to day?
Oh yeah, absolutely. These are simple but really powerful. Things like having a clear visual daily schedule so children know what to expect.
Predictability.
Exactly. Using timers for transitions, transition countdowns to prepare them for change, having organized classrooms that reduce overstimulation, and offering choices whenever possible to prevent challenging behavior from escalating. These are everyday tools that subtly guide behavior and prevent issues from even starting. Okay. Then moving to Tier 2, targeted behavior interventions for the 5–10% of students needing more. Here, we use small group interventions. This could involve basic behavioral strategies like differential reinforcement or DR.
Differential reinforcement.
Yeah,
Okay.
the key insight with DR isn't just stopping a behavior, but actively shaping a new appropriate one. For example, DRA, differential reinforcement of alternative behavior, means reinforcing asking for a break instead of throwing a tantrum to escape work.
So you teach the alternative.
Precisely. It forces us as educators to ask, what do we want them to do instead? That mental shift itself is powerful.
So it's like redirecting their energy to something constructive. Are there other ways this principle is applied?
Absolutely. We also have DRI, that's differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior. If a child is running, we reinforce them for walking quietly because you can't really do both at once.
Ah, incompatible. Got it.
And DRO, differential reinforcement of other behavior, which means reinforcing any other appropriate behavior when the problem behavior isn't happening. The nuance here is crucial for effectiveness. It provides a clear path forward for the child. Another strategy is non-contingent attention. Think of this as proactively filling the attention bucket.
Filling the attention bucket. I like
Yeah.
that.
Instead of waiting for a child to act out to get a teacher's eye, the teacher pre-schedules brief, positive check-ins throughout the day. It subtly teaches, I'm here for you, even when you're not demanding it. 4. Structured interventions like the Good Behavior Game, GBG, are also highly effective. Teams of students compete to earn rewards for appropriate behavior, creating a kind of positive peer pressure.
So really teaching and reinforcing what to do, rather than just punishing what not to do. That seems to be the theme. What happens at the most intensive level, Tier 3, when those interventions aren't enough?
Right. Then we move to Tier 3, intensive individualized behavior support. This is for that 1 to 5% of students with the most significant behavioral needs. This is where a functional behavioral assessment, or FBA, is conducted.
FBA.
Think of an FBA as being a detective. You're figuring out the why of the challenging behavior. Why is Solomon running to time out? Is it for attention? To escape a task? Once that function's understood, a highly individualized behavior intervention plan, or BIP, is created.
What goes into a truly effective behavior intervention plan, a good BIP?
A good BIP is like a custom blueprint, really. It considers all aspects of the student's life, medical needs, previous interventions, everything. And then it suggests highly tailored interventions across the ABCs of behavior: antecedents, behaviors, and consequences.
The ABC.
Yeah, antecedents, what happens before; behaviors, what the child does; and consequences, what happens after. These are all specifically designed to address the identified function. So for escape-maintained behavior like Solomon's, you might alter the demand, that's the antecedent, teach the child to appropriately ask for a break, a replacement skill, the behavior, and use differential reinforcement, the consequence, when they use that skill.
Makes sense. Tailored to the why.
Exactly. And it's often most effective when the student is involved in creating the plan, helping them understand consequences, and increasing their cooperation. Gives them some ownership.
Absolutely. It certainly sounds like MTSS is a dynamic, evolving framework, always seeking to improve. Are there any new trends or significant evolutions happening in the field that our listeners should be aware of?
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here is that research is increasingly showing the importance of integrating things like trauma-informed care, social-emotional literacy, and strong family connections directly into the MTSS framework. Yeah, we're moving beyond just academics and behavior in isolation.
Why are these additions so critical right now? What do they add to the bigger picture?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's because at its core, school is a deeply social and emotional place, right? Children don't leave their experiences at the door. So by embedding these aspects, understanding how trauma impacts learning, explicitly teaching emotional regulation, genuinely partnering with families, we can achieve even more effective and holistic student outcomes. It's about supporting the whole child, recognizing that their well-being is intrinsically linked to their ability to learn and thrive.
This has been such a comprehensive and really insightful exploration into multi-tiered systems of support. It's clear that MTSS, with its strategic design, that need for upfront training, and its unwavering focus on evidence-based practices, it's just an invaluable tool for proactively preventing and significantly decreasing both academic and behavioral concerns in our schools.
Indeed. And while there might be some initial, growing pains or maybe resistance during implementation, because change is always hard, the long-term benefits are profound. Moving away from punitive measures, intervening at multiple levels, providing truly individualized support, it makes it an investment of time and energy that truly pays off. Ultimately, it's about setting all children on a clearer, more supported path to success.
So for you, our listener, here's something to think about. If you were to encounter a principal who only wanted to implement the academic side of MTSS, the RTI part, what arguments would you use to counter that position based on what we've discussed today? How linked are academics and behavior, really? Thank you for joining us for this focused discussion. We hope this has equipped you with a deeper understanding of MTSS and its incredible potential. Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.